guys, welcome back to another Vlogmas video. So today we are making Disney themed Christmas decorations. So we are going to be making something a bit like this, so Mickey shaped like decorations, what can go on your tree, or as they this one is plain one, so you could have them hanging up all year round. They are lightly stuffed as well to create the perfect addition to a Christmas tree. So I'm going to use this glitzy white one today. So I'm just going to fold it in half, so I'm drawing on the back, which is going to be on the inside. Grab my template and make sure it will fit. Roughly draw around. It doesn't matter if you can't see the lines completely, because you're just going to follow it and then cut it out. So now we've cut our template out. As this one is a glitzy one, I'm going to make sure I turn it in out the right way and just trim up any bits which might be a slightly uneven just from the cut. And now we are going to start sewing. So I'm going to just take this blue off from what I used earlier. These also work really good as pin cushions, so just going to use that. Grab my thread. So this is like hand sewing threads. And then I'm going to thread my needle. And now for the knot, rather than just tying a knot in the bottom, I always grab it on like this. I'm going to try and zoom in so you guys can see. So if you take the piece of thread and put it over the top of the needle and then wrap it around a few times, put your thumb down on the bit that's wrapped around and then pull. You can pull it right down to the end and then you will have your knot. You probably can't see that there is a knot there, but there is, I promise. It's the easiest way to do it. So I always advise starting in this, so this corner here of your Mickey, because then you're going to get all the loops in, because we need to leave a little gap, so which we'll come back to sewing in a minute, so we can put the stuffing in. To start with, we're just going to go through the top layer, just so we can have the knot inside. And then we're just going to make sure that those loose threads are in. And then it's just a simple over stitch, trying to stay as close to the outside as we can. I just use this stitch because it's quick and easy, and you can get them quite small and tight, which is definitely a bonus. So I've just got round to here. I haven't got much left on like thread left, which is fine because I can change thread. So I'm just going to do a couple more stitches, because then I'm just going to show you how I kind of tie off the thread. So it's kind of hard to show you, but I'm going to push my needle back through probably 3 stitches what I've just made on the outside, so it kind of loops it back onto itself, back onto itself. And then I'm going to go back, but I'm not going to go back on that first one because obviously then it'll just come back out. I'm going to go back on that through the second and the last one I just made, just so it creates that loop before taking my needle off and just snipping the end off. Obviously it's not ideal to have it right on that corner, but that was just where the thread finished. For me, obviously you just do that as your thread finishes. So I've got round to here. This is how much of a gap I have, so I'm gonna keep the thread on there. I'm just gonna put my needle through my thing so I don't lose it, and then I'm gonna grab my stuff in. I just bought a pillow from Wilko, and then just cut it open. So I've just taken the stuffing out of a normal regular pillow. It tends to be softer than like toy stuffing and stuff as well, and obviously it's so much cheaper. You can buy cheap pillows or pick some up for free, I'm sure. So yeah, we're just gonna stuff. We want to try and do little bits at a time, and just use your fingers to poke it. Make sure you get it right into the ears. You can put as much in as you want, but remember obviously your stitching is there, so you don't want to push it out too far. So that's quite a solid amount in that ear. I'd advise doing the ears first just because they're the fiddly bits, and then you can fit more into your main body afterwards. Your stitching at like this, obviously part where you ended will start coming like going looser, but obviously you just need to pull that in before you start restitching and sewing up the gap. My mum likes to use a DS stylus to push them in, push stuffing in, because obviously they're soft on the ends. I wouldn't recommend using pencils or anything, just in case you push it a bit too hard and you like push your stitching out, then that could be more of a disaster to try and fix. So something soft is definitely easier. So something like a DS stylus or like an Apple pencil, those kind of stylist things are definitely a good shout. So I've made this one quite firm, so obviously as I'm sewing up this next bit, it is going to be a bit trickier because it's going to be a little bit further apart than the first one, and I want to make sure that my stuffing stays inside. So I'm just gonna, I need to put a little bit more in so it keeps it fairly evenly stuffed throughout. Obviously when it's all finished you can kind of move it around slightly and make it a bit fuller in some places. So as I'm just adding some more, I'm just doing it in small clumps, just so it doesn't get too big. And obviously if you overstuff you're gonna outstretch the felt, and it's not gonna want to go where you want it to. So that's probably going to be enough, and I'm going to finish just stitching it up, and I'm going to go a little bit over where I stitched to start with, just because I can see it's starting to come away a little bit. It's just starting to open up slightly, just because obviously it's not very tight right at the beginning where I first started stitching. So that is the main thing done. So this one's quite firm, and obviously I did use the bigger pattern, so it is slightly bigger than my last one, but this can't hang on the tree yet until we put the ribbon on. So I've just got plain white ribbon. You can get some glitzy ribbon if you want, and I'm just gonna square my end off. And a little tip is just to slightly burn the ends, just so they stay a bit, they stay together and just don't fray. And I'm going to have my hanger is going to be 20 centimeters long, so I'm going to cut it just over so I can just slightly burn that end again. Just so it doesn't tray. So on this one, so you're just going to fold it in half, obviously making sure you create your loop. For a Mickey one, you need to get it quite high up in the join bit in the middle. So pick the side which, obviously this one you've got a pattern on it, so pick the side you kind of like the most, and you're going to put it on the opposite side. And I'm just going to switch my thread from this one to my thinner sewing, like machine thread, I guess that's what it's called. I'm just going to take a chunk of that off, thread my needle up again. So we are going to create this loop. So I'm just going to start by putting my needle through here, and I'm just going to snip the end of that off because it's a bit long. I'm going to keep a little bit behind though, obviously, like it's a, because there's a knot there as the precaution. So I've snipped a little bit off, and then I'm going to put it as high up in here as I can, and I'm going to be kind of catching it in. I'm just going to zoom in slightly. It's kind of a hard one to see, so I'm going to pop it on this part here and but start by kind of catching it underneath and just pulling it through. Obviously the first one's going to be a little bit loose, but you're going to just pull and tighten it as best you can. And so this is the like trickiest bit of it all, just putting it a hanger on. So then you're going to bring it out, so making sure you're getting it into the felt, and then just bringing it slightly round and underneath the ribbons. You're going to need to do this a few times just because you obviously want it to stay on, so it will sit on your Christmas tree nicely. And then I'm just going to snip it off as close as I can, and there is our finished ornament. Another thing you could do, you could just bring a couple more stitches into this front bit. As you're doing it right near the top, you could just bring, like I said, a couple of through the front, so it just hangs nicely. Just going to zoom out. So it hangs nicely, and then it's finished. If you wanted to, you could also just put a little button on the back here, nothing too heavy, just like a simple little button to like kind of secure where you've just sewn and to hide it slightly. But there is our finished thing. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you give my little decorations a try, let me know down in the comments. They are super easy and I'd love to see some photos. You could, if you want to send me photos, you can put them on your Instagram stories and tag me. It's Lillian's Disney Adventures, the same as here. I also leave my link to my Instagram in the description box of every video. Be sure to go check that out. I am posting a digital image which I've drawn every day of December as well on my personal story. Have that going on as well, so go and check it out. They are Disney inspired images. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching Vlogmas, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.